Welcome to the Say It Out Loud podcast. I'm your host, Vasavi Kumar. If you're eager to gain clarity, speak with unwavering confidence, and liberate those inner voices, you're in the perfect spot. My mission here is to empower you to break free, find fulfillment, and ignite your passion. You ready? It's time to say it out loud. I've put together a guide of my top 10 tested and proven to work practical strategies and habits to help bright women like you say no, set your boundaries right, live confidently, and build healthy relationships, starting with the relationship you have with yourself. This is a self-paced guide, and I can't wait for you to dig into it so you can start becoming your most confident self, because she's in there waiting for you. Head to the link in my show notes or go to vasavikumar.com/guide and grab it today.
Hello. Welcome to the Say It Out Loud podcast. My name is Cortney Lee, and I am guest hosting for Vasavi today. And I just want to first say thank you, Vas, for providing this opportunity and allowing me, as well as other members of your Say It Out Loud program, to speak on your platform. You know, that says a lot, and it's really more than just speaking on the platform. It's about the trust that you have shown that you have for us. And so I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure the other ladies appreciate it too. And I'm going to get into the episode. So I made a commitment. I'm going to go over this a little bit because maybe this will help some of you listening who are afraid to be vulnerable. Maybe you're hesitating on taking that next step, whatever that step is in your business or in your life. And I just want to say that I've been pushing myself lately to really just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I actually just did a video on this in my that I posted on my IG. And I talked a little bit about, like getting real with myself, right? Like asking myself, what is holding me back from taking the next step in my business, right? So for some of you, that may be in your business, your life, your relationship, whatever that is, right? So I'll use an example. So I have been feeling like I need just a little bit more, I guess you would say, encouragement from my husband. And I know that he's busy. I know that he is, out in the work field, providing for our family, all of that good stuff, right? So it's not about pointing the finger and saying, hey, you need to encourage me more. No. It's about really sitting with myself and identifying, what is my soul craving for? What do I truly feel like I need in this moment in my life? And I just took a look around and said, you know what? There's a reason why certain things are triggers for me. There's a reason why if I mention something about my business or about what I'm working on, if I don't get a specific response, there's a reason why my mood changes. And so I'm not saying that to say that you're supposed to be looking for external validation, right? Because that is also something that I have been working on. But in the spirit of saying it out loud, I've been feeling more and more compelled to just be transparent and just say whatever it is that I need and that I desire in my relationship, right? And just in general. And so I would push you listening to ask not only your partner or, your friend, whoever you're really close to in your life. Don't focus on the external, right? I know how it sounds, but what I want you to do is first ask yourself, what is it that I need in this moment from myself and from those around me? Because I just feel like by not being honest, by keeping it held in, we are creating like a ticking time bomb. And that's kind of what I've been feeling lately. And that has nothing to do with my husband. That has everything to do with me not voicing my opinion and my concerns and what it is that I truly feel like I need. I feel like every other area in our relationship is A1, and there's going to be ebbs and flows, obviously. But in this season, in this moment in my life, I just had to get real with myself on like, why is my mood changing from day to day? Why am I feeling, I guess, somewhat of a void, right? And so I asked myself first, and the answer was right there in front of my face. It was, well, you're excited about what you're doing and what you're building, right? And not only that, you're excited for others about what they're doing and what they're building, right? And there's just a certain level of reciprocity that I need, I need that, because it's not about expecting others to be like you or do what you do, because we're all different. Our brains are wired differently. Some of us have past traumas and past experiences that shape who we are and shape how we move in the world and how we're interacting with those around us. So yeah, I have come from a place of people pleasing and wanting to solve every problem and help everyone out, right? And I'm proud of that. I own that about myself. I love being a problem solver. I love coming up with solutions that are actually going to help people to move the needle in their life and in their business. And I'm a researcher at heart. So there really isn't anything that anyone hasn't come to me about that I pretty much don't make my individual and personal mission to at least provide an answer to, if not completely solve the problem. So yes, we are all different. Yes, I am not my husband and my husband is not me. But it's really about digging deep into what it is that you need. And I actually wrote a letter to my husband. Well, I wrote a iPhone note and I shared it with him. And I'm going to make that a new norm. I was very hesitant to send that to him because I'm like, oh my goodness, like this could turn into an argument when he gets home. I sent it while he was at work. This could turn into an argument when he get home and, things like that. And it's not about argument, I guess more so a debate, because we don't really argue. We have definitely matured in that capacity from way back when in our 20s versus now. So what I really am trying to get across here is I don't care if it's your husband, if it's your boyfriend, if it's your fiance. I know Vas talked a lot about the boundaries that she has set with her ex and, raising her expectations and what she is here for and what she's not here for. And so I don't think that should be any different with the people that you're close to in your life, whether that's your husband, whether that's your mother, whether that's your grandmother, and that is, that's really important so that we're not just walking around as ticking time bombs. So I wrote a letter to my husband and basically said, I appreciate everything that you do. Of course, I started it off that way. I appreciate everything that you do for me and your children and our family. And, I see that your mind is focused on, providing. And, this is not about that. This is not taking away from that. And then I even moved forward with some of the, objections and responses that I've gotten in the past when I've kind of tiptoed around this subject, and I said, listen, I know you're probably going to say, listen, I'm busy out here working. I'm busy doing this, keeping a roof over our head, yada, yada, yada. I really went in deep. Like this was a very in-depth letter because there was a lot being held in. And I basically said, listen, I know you're going to respond with this. I know you're going to respond with that. because that's what I've gotten in the past. But I really, really need you to hear me on this one. And this is my true attempt at getting you to understand where I'm coming from so that you're not in the dark as to why my mood changes from moment to moment, Because I truly believe that, yes, therapy is needed. Everyone needs therapy. I don't care. I think Voss said this the other day. She's like, listen, someone asked her like who needs therapy or something came up about therapy. And she's like, anyone who's had a childhood, who needs therapy? Anyone who has had a childhood, and I truly believe that. And we're seeing that more and more today, even in the mainstream, right? Like athletes and actors. It's like we have to process these internal emotions and thoughts and feelings, right? Or we are going to remain ticking time bombs. And so I'm saying that to say that, this was my attempt at not just bypassing and saying, oh, you just need to journal, Cortney. No, it's not about journaling. Or, you just need to, talk to someone. No, I need to talk to the person that I feel that needs to hear, what I have to say. And so if you're hesitating on setting a boundary or setting an expectation with a husband, a fiance, a boyfriend, a parent, I would love for you to just sit with yourself for like 5 minutes and just say, what do I need in this moment? Like, it's okay to be selfish sometimes. And I don't even like the word selfish. I mean, words are words, whatever meaning you put on them is what, you're going to perceive them to be. But, who's to say that selfish is a negative word, So it's just like, to be honest, you just need to identify what it is that you need, you desire, so that you can navigate this everyday life without feeling like you're holding everything in and it's turning into and snowballing into something more when it just doesn't need to be that way, right? And so I basically said, listen, I know you're going to come back at me with this and that. And I know that your mind is on this, and that, right? But I need you to understand that this is something that I need. I need the same encouragement that I put out given back to me. I just need that. And it's not about tick for tack and, petty give and take. It's just, I know who I am. I know how much I give and how much I pour out. And the more that I do this inner work, the more that I'm realizing that my value is not equated to $1, or what I'm bringing into the household. And that's not to say that that is what, that's where he's coming from, or that's what he has hinted off at. But this is my own inner work. And it's really just about sorting through those files of the subconscious mind and saying, hey, like, what is triggering me day to day? And how can I redirect this, course correct this, reprogram this? And sometimes it's going to be more than just journaling and going to therapy. You're going to have to address the people and the things in your life that are a trigger and do cause some of those triggers. It's one thing if it's just a distant friend or a distant relative, but the people who are in your daily life, I had to get real with myself. I'm like, listen, like, I'm with this man every day and we have a bond. We, there's just an unconditional love there. And so if I love myself, number one, and if I love him, I will be honest with him and I will let him know why my mood changes from moment to moment instead of just keeping it all in and him just trying to figure it out on his own. So I felt like I owed it to myself, I owed it to my children, and I owed it to my husband to be honest and be transparent and let him know where I was coming from. And that's exactly what I did. So for me, the way that my thoughts process, I say that my brain is very unique. And so in order for me to feel confident in the message that's coming across, I needed to get it written down. And that is what I did. And I felt like he truly heard me, and I was able to get everything out. So for you, it may not just be sparking up a conversation. It may be to just write a letter, right? Maybe write a letter to yourself and then write a letter to your mom or your husband or your fiance, right? Especially those of you who are maybe, engaged and getting ready to get married. Like, I think this would be a really good foundation for you to put into practice before getting married. That way you're setting the tone, you're setting the standard for not only your partner, but for yourself, right? You're normalizing it. And so guess what? Letters are my new thing now. Whenever I need to get, something across, I'm going to bring it up in person as well, but things that I really want, to get across, like, I'm going to start writing letters. I'm probably going to write a letter to my mom very soon. And again, it's not about pointing the finger. It's just about, being honest with myself and with the people in my life. And so I'm not going to make this episode extra long. I'm going to be honest with you. This was just a rant, and an intentional rant, I will say. Something that I know is going to help those of you who are in relationships and who are hesitating on vocalizing your thoughts and your feelings and expressing like where you feel voids, in your life, and how those voids are linked to the people in your life. And so I hope that this inspires and encourages you. If you are in a place right now where you're like, oh my goodness, like there's no way I could say this to this person. And I just want to encourage you to get it out on paper first. Maybe you don't give it to that person right away. Maybe you just sit with it. Maybe you just process it. Like, it took me, this letter in my notes was sitting in my notes for a couple of weeks because I wanted to make sure that I was getting everything across, right? And I wanted to be sure that he understood that I know what he's going through, but that does not negate what I'm going through. And I owe it to myself and my soul and my higher self to not just walk around like a ticking time bomb. I owe it to my children, most importantly, to not be on such highs and lows for things that can just be voiced, can just be hashtag said out loud. And so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Say It Out Loud podcast. Thank you for listening to me, Cortney Lee. And if you are considering maybe joining the Say It Out Loud group, I believe Vas said it's going to be starting in January. If you're considering it, if you're considering working with Vas in general, I highly encourage you to really give it some deep thought. If you're hesitating on it and you're not just jumping off the ledge like I've done in the past, following my intuition, which I'm so glad that I did. But if, just really ask yourself what it is that you need at this moment. And if you feel like you're called to work with someone like Vas, who can really help you to improve your communication and get better with your self-expression, like don't allow those voices that just aren't yours, like she says, to get in the way of that. She's truly gifted at what she does, and I am so thankful to be connected with her. And as you see, she's just such a genuine soul. Like, she is literally allowing me and some of the other members to use her platform, and this is my first guest podcast. But like, look at how comfortable she has made me feel in taking this opportunity. So I want to say thank you for listening. My name is Cortney Lee. I am a business consultant, business and brand strategist. And you can find me on IG at Ask Cortney Lee, Facebook, Ask Cortney Lee, because you can ask me anything. Anything about business, branding, scaling, and even life, like we all have a life. We all have been through life. So I definitely feel like all of us, no matter what profession we're in, what industry we're in, we all have a very unique life experience that will be threaded into our businesses. And so, yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Vas.
If you love today's episode, then say it out loud. Subscribe, leave a review, and come say hi over on Instagram at My Name is Vasavi. Until next time, say it out loud.